Hey everybody, Tyler here with American Wash Systems. I got a really interesting email the other night from somebody. It's in our region here in Tulsa. They're wanting to get into a business, and he emailed me and asked, what are the 5 biggest expenses, was essentially what he was asking, for the pressure washing industry to get started in 2026. I was like, let's do a video about it, because there's some stuff that I've seen change over the industry from the years. So when I started back in 2019 doing this like super part-time, I had a little Generac that I would kind of drag around a property and like physically pressure wash houses, which was like the worst thing you could ever do. But people let me do it and they paid me money to do it. And now we're here with multiple trucks doing some serious revenues. But we learned so much along the way. I think the biggest thing that I was doing personally back then, and I see it happening now, is everybody's misusing their time. Like the misuse of time is the biggest cost factor for them to not make serious money starting out in April or March when the seasons really get going. Like in our area, the Midwest and Tulsa, season's starting now. Like this is our first big week. It's the first week of March, which is a little early, but I think it's because the weather's so awesome right now. So when I was starting out, and I see the same things now, and this is something this gentleman's trying to avoid, is analysis paralysis with equipment. So he reached out to us, he wants us to build us a rig, fantastic. So he's getting past the equipment part. I remember I would sit up late at night, like how do I get my 3/8 high pressure hose to connect to a 1/2-inch reel? It's like, oh, I don't even know how to do that. It's like, well, what kind of hoses do I need? There's certain PSI parameters I have to deal with. I was, oh, a marine grade battery, what is that? What does a deep cycle mean? And I'm doing all this research on equipment. I should have been doing the research on my market and my demo, finding like who's my clients, what services do they want, what services do we want to offer, what is the ROI on our hourly spend on those, how do we get in touch with those people? So a lot of it come down for us, it was focusing on zip codes and purchasing habits and conversions from yeses to leads, to invoices and to like versus like no's. So how many no's to yeses were we getting really determined our pricing for our area. And it was game changing when we figured that out. So without a doubt, it's the same trend that I was seeing, years and years ago with people. They're kind of just, they don't understand how much time they're wasting focusing on equipment when they should have just let somebody like American Wash Systems or somebody local to their area get them the equipment they need to get in the field as soon as possible. Because I spent too much time, I had this little Generac. I think Spencer, let's go ahead and throw a picture up there in the corner so everybody can see my little orange Generac that started all of these trucks and these thousands of clients that we now serve annually. And it's pretty wild to see what we started with versus what we're selling to people to start with. It's like, well, what was I doing? I had this orange Generac and I had a little surface cleaner. It was like a 12-inch. I couldn't afford one of those nice BE yellow ones that we sell now. We have multiple in a rack now. I think I got it from Lowe's, and I even remember like putting some custom fabricated like caster orange things on there that I made here in the shop one day. So I guess you could say we've been fabbing equipment since the first day, because once you see the picture, you're gonna laugh. I giggle every time I see it, but I also still feel proud because I stuck with it from that. So if I can make it a business with that equipment, you can certainly make a business with this equipment, because this is pretty incredible. So other than just the opening startup cost of what equipment costs, because you need surface cleaners, those are $400 minimum to get a nice BE one that we sell. A trailer like this is, $18,000. It seems like a lot. But once you get past the time spent on the equipment, you get to spend that time focusing on your market and your demo and how to attract them, how to get invoices to your clients. That's the whole goal, is you get your marketing out. Hopefully you can send a quote to that person, you schedule them, and then you keep them on a reoccurring business model. So that's for us. That's primarily what we do is windows, gutters, pool decks. It's things that we could do every quarter, 6 months, annual for our clients. I guess the second thing that I see the most is when people are trying to decide between trailers and skids, because as a fab company, we make a bunch of equipment. A lot of our first year and second year business owners, they're leaning towards trailers heavily. I mean like 95% or more. They're buying trailers because they don't have to dedicate a specific truck to it the way you would have to like a skid. A skid is something we definitely see something in like the 3 and 4 or 5 year business owner in this industry. Because about at 3 years, you've got multiple trucks, or at least one fully dedicated truck. We can put like an 8-foot skid or whatever size it is. But we can deck those out pretty heavy. So typically 2 pressure washers, 8 gallon a minute on each shelf, multiple reels. If they want a window system, we can incorporate that too. So once they get more clients, they're having more of a capital capacity flow, like as you get further into the years. We still see those clients in 3, 4, and 5 years buying out trailers, but it's typically with heated units. It's for big water capacity like this, how it's 200 gallons, because they're starting to do like parking garages, big hotels, casinos that require a lot of water. So that's the second thing I see. There's a bunch of office and legal stuff that nobody really seems to talk about, and I think we should mention here, at least for a little bit. So as far as like the business setup, there's like the LLC formation, and then there's like the business license. You're gonna need some insurance. Do you need like full workers' comp? Like what does vehicle insurance look like? What is business insurance like? There's all these different things that are kind of chip away at your revenue. So some people will say, oh, I made $2,000 today or $2,000 this weekend. Those are typically gross numbers because nobody wants to talk about, or they just don't know what their bottom line was after all their food, their fuel, their insurance, their website, their CRM. It's like it just, everything wants to chip away at what you've made. So that's what we see a lot. So when it comes to like LLC formations, please just do it yourself. It's like $50 through your state Secretary of State website. I see people the way they want like LegalZoom to go do their LLC, which is just, it's crazy. Or they want LegalZoom to go, whatever those entities are, to do their business license setup. And it's like, you could do that for $50 on your own with a YouTube video in about 30 minutes, or you can pay those entities like $400 or more, and it take 4 days to go do it for you. Dude, turn a YouTube video on. Like how to get an LLC. Oklahoma, check, 5 minutes. Okay, $50, love it. I wish more business owners would take more accountability in that. Every time I see somebody as a business coach that paid one of those entities to get like their LLC or their business license, they're also the ones that have to have an accountant to run their numbers because they never took the time to learn that on their own. So they're paying somebody to depend on to make sure their information is right as far as their accounting goes. Please do a little research on your own, at least for the office stuff. Get yourself a little bit more structured as far as being able to understand your numbers. If you don't have an accountant, like you need to be able to say, this is my net revenue, this is my gross revenue, these were the expenses in between, and this is essentially what we made at the end of the year was our net or EBITDA. And my last thing, it's probably my favorite thing to talk about because marketing, branding, and sales, I know those are kind of clumped together. We kind of focus on the marketing and branding a little bit because those two dance together pretty tightly. So as I get to travel around the US and I get to talk at these conferences occasionally, it's always about marketing and branding. So one thing I don't see enough of is early on in the early years, back when I started, I was a really big fan of doing yard signs. Even though we were putting them out in like the country area, it was like the city around the cities, so they're not as stringent on like yard sign codes. So like Tulsa, Broken Arrow, Bixby, we're out of. If you put a big yard sign on a telephone pole by like a Quick Trip or a gas station or a Walmart, you're gonna get a call from a code enforcement immediately threatening like a big fine if you don't go take those signs down. So we kind of got around that. We live in a pretty rural area where a lot of houses are with a lot of disposable income, which is our demo. We just put them on telephone poles around the country, or around the county. And it was pretty successful. And I still drive around. I was an hour west in Skytook Lake the other day. I saw 2 of our signs still up. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab one real quick and I'll show you what they look like. So here's an old sign that we have. We have a little wall of like our old yard signs we put out, but it was like basic. It was like window cleaning and I like bright colors. We have a nonprofit it's called Watching with a Purpose, and it's obviously pink. We donate services to cancer patients or families going through treatment, but that was kind of part of it. So it's basically just the name of the service we're doing, a phone number, and that was really it. But when we got kind of serious about the marketing game, we went and got a Google My Business, is what that was called back in the day. I think it's just now like a Google page. I don't even know what it's actually referred to. So that was the spot we were really started going after reviews hard and heavy from the very beginning. At one point, we got to 350 5-star reviews on Google alone. As you know, when you're in this industry long enough, Google will randomly just take 40 reviews away for no reason. So it's going to happen. You can appeal it. Sometimes it's successful. Sometimes it's not. I think we're back up to like 230 or so. So it's going to be ups and downs, ups and downs. But one of the secrets about AI and the search relevance is it weighs heavily on your Google My Business page presence. If you have a YouTube page for like videos and stuff, that's a factor too, as far as like the content of what you're doing. One of the biggest factors when somebody's like, hey, find me the best window cleaning company in Tulsa. When any of those AIs are looking through all these businesses and to rank them for that user, they do reviews first, surprisingly. So we have a ton of 5-star reviews in our area, so we populate pretty high up there. I think there was a month last year for the 2025 season, we had about $30,000 in revenue top line. That wasn't what we brought home to the banking account. It was all generated like as recommendations from like ChatGPT and all these like different AI variances. which is pretty awesome. We've been playing the AI game long before we even knew this was even going to be a thing. So if you're a new business, start with your Google page, get some yard signs, start pounding reviews. If you have aunts, uncles, sisters, siblings, mom and dad, any friends from school you think would leave you a 5-star review, start doing that slowly. You don't want to do 30 in one day. They'll probably get flagged, and like I said, they'll get removed. But at least I would start doing 1 or 2 a day. That's a pretty safe number. But look in your area. Some people, like for Tulsa, they have a lot of reviews. There's a couple of us that have over 100, but most of the companies that do what we do have like 30 or below. So if you can get over that 30 number, you're kind of start standing out in your market a little bit, which is pretty awesome. Websites are important, but I think SEO is kind of going away a little bit, just as the AI relevance is getting more prominent than somebody actually having to go to like your website. The website now is more of just like a reputation holder. You know, they need to be able to go to your website, see it's clean, it shows the services that you provide. Your phone number needs to be readily available like 4 or 5 times on there. Ideally use a software like Responsibid like we use. So anytime somebody's on our website, they can get a quote for whatever service they want, windows, gutters, power washing, house washing, whatever, in 30 seconds via the Responsibid embedded link on our website, which is pretty awesome. That provides us quite a bit of revenue because our website still generates a lot of people seeing it every time. We'll probably get 4 to 5 requests for services every day just through that Responsibid section on our website. And I think Responsibid is doing a deal if you sign up. I forget what it was. I'll link it down below if you guys are interested in Responsibid. What it is, essentially, it's like a sales platform for your website. So anybody can put in their house size, like the square footage, the zip code where they live, and you can kind of guide pricing from there. It's pretty awesome. Check it out. I appreciate you guys stopping by and taking a minute to discuss some of the big 5 factors that we see on new business owners and some of the biggest expenses that they're going to see and experience that nobody really talks about, like the legal stuff or more of accounting stuff, because we can all make money, but to understand what you're keeping at the day is super important when it comes to like investing back into marketing. How much payroll can I pull? Is there, how big can my owner's job be at the end of the month? There's all these things that kind of go into it, especially when you decide to go, when do I go to an S Corp? It's like, well, you need to know how much money you're making. Typically, it's like the $45,000 to $50,000 range when you want to transfer to S Corp. But talk to your CPA, they'll probably have the same guidelines for you. But if you're looking for some awesome equipment, you're in the Midwest, we'd love to build a trailer or skid for you and kind of bypass all that time struggles that we were talking about earlier that I went through earlier, and I wish I would have just bought something like this. It would have saved me so much time late at night focusing on what hoses do I need and what pressure washer do I need? Is a 4-gallon enough? Do I need an 8? You know, is all these things that I struggle with, and how to build a soft wash system. Back in the day, nobody had manifolds like we do now. Like, they're so incredible. And we can go get zoomed in, but that's not really what this video is about. It's about what costs can you mitigate, and a lot of it's just time spent on things like equipment when you don't need to. Let us worry about that. We've been doing this for a long, long time. We've cleaned thousands of properties. We know exactly what hoses, what machines work, what tank capacity you need, what battery and wire size to run everything at. That way it's going to last you for years and years to come. So guys, if you have questions, reach out to me, send me an email. This is where this question came in at. Hello at AmericanWashSystems.com. Check us out on our website, AmericanWashSystems.com. If you guys have any questions, you can also get on our Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, TikTok, super active on those every day. So I appreciate you guys stopping by, and I look forward to all your comments below. Thanks.